Hello, and welcome to the Excellent News Delivery podcast, delivering the most excellent news directly to you. I'm your host, Sam, and this podcast is all about bringing some positivity and talking about some fun stuff that people are up to. We're a weekly podcast airing every Friday about 8 or 9 a.m. I've got with me today Hazel, if you want to say hello.
Hi.
So I feel like it's kind of a trend. For the last few episodes, we've had people on who've all done the Camp America progress. And likewise, you are as well.
Yes, I did. I went to camp with you, in fact.
Yes. But I feel like I always like to test the people because I'm a big passionate fan about trying to get people to sign up and do it because it's such an awesome thing. But
Oh, definitely, yeah.
just talk about the experience yourself. I don't know if I've ever asked you if it's your first time in America, but for me, that was my first experience, and it's such an engaging experience.
Oh, good. Yeah, that was my first time I've ever been to America, and it is, considering you think, we look a lot into the American media and stuff. All the films we'll watch, a lot of them are American, and you don't realize how big of a culture shock it's going to be, thinking that we're actually a lot similar, but it turns out we're not. There's a lot of differences that I was really surprised to see. And interesting, not bad differences. They're just interesting.
Totally. There's so many, especially American films about camp summers and stuff like that, or TV series.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever saw it. It was I think it was Channel 4 did a series called Beaver Falls. It's not a well-known one, so I wouldn't be surprised. But you get such an impression of how it all is, and there's almost I feel like before I was there, the American shows always kind of hype up to be this big drama-filled thing, and you get there, and everyone just kind of, I wouldn't say everyone clicks perfectly, but everyone just gets on and chills out, really. I don't think it was
yeah, I was going to say the Americans are so friendly, and they're so positive as well. And probably better if British people were, but we're just not. And it's the Americans just are so friendly and want to talk to you about your life and their life, just random strangers, and then they'll just go about the day, and as if it's just normal to them.
Yeah, well, I think the big thing you get, especially with more the kids that you're looking after, is they'll come up to you and they adore the accents. And I think there's something just so sweet and pure about them. They'll just come up. And especially we had some Scottish girls working with us as well. And the kids just adored that accent. They absolutely just were so engaged with that.
Yeah, and just either loved it or couldn't understand it, but either way, they did love it.
Oh yeah, they were and they go around to everyone asking what part of England are you from, or for the Australian ones, wanting to know more about Australia. And I think I feel like people might get more put off when they watch the TV shows and films, because I think people assume it's this whole crazy over the top drama filled sort of experience, and it's mentally it's quite an intense thing, but it's a really sort of chilled out, nice environment. And then we were fortunate enough, every Saturday we were going somewhere different as a sort of break thing. And I think you don't from what other work that goes on in the world, you don't get that kind of experience anywhere else.
Oh no, it's definitely, even if, because I was never really a massive fan of kids before I went, and now I'm it was great. The kids are great. They all just want to have fun. They all absolutely adore all the counselors, because you're such a role model to them, and it's really nice to sort of come away and think you've actually sort of helped someone and maybe had an impact on the life sort of thing in some way. And it's just nice to think like that.
Yeah, and they teach you things before we started this, you were reminding me of the weird hand shapes or whatever they could do. And for the life of me, I remember any of the song stuff we were talking about that, and I have no coordination when it comes to any rhythm-based song. I have two left legs to the most extreme extent of I try and copy someone and it still looks like I'm just lost.
Oh, it was brilliant. It was brilliant to watch, honestly.
Yeah, it would be something as simple as a simple clapping song. I'd just sit there and I'd be I've got no clue. But it's it draws you in because the Americans themselves are so into that sort of stuff. They love it. And I think even if you're awful like I am at it, you're drawn in because it's just good fun. And it's like you say, the kids they do look up to you, and they get so not connected into your life, but connected into your sort of when you're working on a campsite life,
Mhm.
that they just want to be involved in every sort of way in terms of like how cool it is and what you're up to. And I mean, especially because we were working on a Girl Scout camp, so probably I don't know if that's the same for you, but I think I drew extra attention to myself being the only male counselor there. Um,
Yeah.
so it was like I think the kids were just more amazed to see like a male counselor, and it's for that as an experience as well. It's like something that's so bizarre, but I mean, I think like I don't know if every counselor's like it. I think we're really fortunate. Like generally, all the counselors we work with are just such easygoing, lovely people that it's like whoever you're like assigned to work with, you're like, all right, I can chill out with this person. I can have a good time.
Oh yeah, pretty much. You know, if you sign up for the Camp America, there'll be loads of like-minded people. Everyone was there for the same thing, to have a good time. And I
Hmm.
was really worried because I normally I've grown up in a very male orientated environment, so I've not been I can't make friends with girls easy. So I was really worried it was going to be a bit sort of gossipy and, you know, that sort of environment. And it wasn't at all. Everyone was so lovely and just made and friendly with everyone. And they are definitely people you're going to be friends with for a very, very long time. It's definitely worth going for it.
Oh, so I mean, yeah, just purely. I mean, like, I mean, for the most antisocial person in the world, like, I think it's worth doing. It's like, I
Yeah.
mean, I was god awful when I think I came for the first week. I was like, I don't know anyone. I don't know how to talk to people. Um, like the nerves hit you, but it's like you get such an environment. I think it also comes from the fact, you're working together every week, and it's like I would never say that the work is like so intense it's too exhausting.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I'd never like turn around and say like it's super easy work, and I think that's kind of nice because you bond over it in a sense. Like I think
Yeah.
it's like when we cause the camp we had, it was like every week we get different kids, and we'd get like a
Hmm.
turnaround phase if you're like Friday and Sunday, like when the kids left and new kids came to the campsite, and it's like when everyone's like got this one overall task of like making sure everything works properly, but you're getting assigned to different stations. I think you build this connection with people because you're working together, even if not directly. And then I think when we did get like our Saturdays off, it's like such a chilled environment, and we're all kind of on the same mental level,
Yeah.
um, which is such an experience itself. I mean, I hate the fact I can't remember to all the places we went to. Like we went to the baseball stadium. That was I've never experienced something quite like that. I mean, football in England, I feel it's more
Oh,
violent, is what I'll say in terms of like
oh,
the action
definitely.
you
It's
get.
definitely more rowdy. Yeah.
More, yeah.
Whereas
But
it was, yeah, it was, I mean, we might not have gone to the biggest major league baseball game, but it was definitely a more chilled. I mean, obviously we had our little box as well, and we got to play all the classic like arcade games that I'd seen on the American films,
mm,
and that was great in itself. I loved that, playing pinball and skee ball. I was
oh,
mint.
I know it was. Oh, it was. It's like that thing that was when they turned around. Just like, oh yeah, we got a VIP experience. I was buzzing with that
Yeah,
because I was like, that's just awesome. But
yeah,
it's like yeah, just the whole atmosphere of like the stadium is so amazing. I was like, ah, we just where we went was such an amazing experience. It's like, but it's like I can't always remember the other places we went to off the top of my head. But I remember like we went to a mall once, and that was like such a different
yeah.
thing. Um,
One thing wasn't a place that we went, but one thing I did love is when we'd go to Walmart and then the Amish people were just pulled in the car park and tied the horse up. I was like, oh my gosh, they like, you know, because I don't know, I know nothing about Amish people, so it was like, wow, they're like they're real. It was just interesting.
no, but I get that. Yeah, because they would just be completely like they just show up like with everyone else, and they just have like a whole carriage and a horse, um,
Yeah,
and like they would dress. Like we talk about the way people represent in media, but they dress exactly the same way that the media shows them off to dress up like. Um,
yeah, with the bonnets and the like full, I don't know what they're called, gowns, I guess,
I
dresses,
guess yeah, you call them
like
gowns.
just that, like yeah,
But like yeah, it's like I mean Walmart like I'd almost say, go
Oh,
to America just to see a Walmart because it's such a
it's
intense store.
unbelievable.
Yeah, like it was like, I mean, I'll never get over the fact that, you could buy pet fish, food, some like a bicycle and a gun from the same place. I think I'll never recover
Exactly.
that combination of things. Just to list a few things that you could buy as a combination, I've never experienced in one shot up. Um,
It was. It is just bizarre.
but
It
I
was.
definitely I remember
I
like
loved going to Walmart.
Walmart trips. I think those were like some of the highlights.
Yeah,
And
playing
it's
the
like,
tunes in the buses as well was oh
but it's like the Amish people. I remember like telling some family about that. And they were pestering me to get some photos. So I was like, it's such like a like you say, you don't know if it's a real thing because in England, it's not something that's quite so present.
yeah
Um, but in America, it's such a present culture, and it's like
yeah
that's also the thing to see. Because I think with England, you can understand quite a lot of the cultural stuff around in England, and it's more straightforward to understand. Where America's such a wide, varied out place that you'd only start to understand the smallest bit of America when you're first there. But it's
yeah.
like getting to experience it's something else. Like I don't know if
Hmm.
it's me, but like McDonald's, for example, I don't think I've had any fries that are as salty as the ones in America.
Oh God, ridiculously salty, and the fact that you could buy, I mean, it wouldn't be a gallon, but it felt like a gallon of Coke for about $1 in like the massive cups, and that was considered a small one. I was like, this is ridiculous. How can you? It just the food in America. You just go for the food. Unbelievable.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's fantastic food they can make, but like, I definitely, yeah, it's like always buy like the small portions of the food. Like, I remember I had just to tell
Yeah.
myself, like, it feels weird not to be ordered like a normal size meal, but it's like you're better off ordering small because it's like, if not, you're going to be like, you couldn't eat it all. If like you order anything more than a small, you wouldn't finish it. Um,
Oh yeah. It was the portion sizes are unreal.
mm. But for the prices, though, it was never like, an unreasonable price, which is the more amazing thing. Like, it was
Yeah.
always like you say, for $1, you could get that much Coke. I think that's
Yeah.
kind of incredible, the amount they'd serve to you. Um, but just to vary away from America for a little, because I know you've done a bit of traveling before. So, whereabouts else have you sort of traveled to before?
I've got I've got one of those maps that you like scratch off the country. So I'm just looking at it now. I've I've been to France, Belgium, Norway, Italy, Switzerland, Hungary, Romania, Malawi, the UAE, Spain, and America. Is that it? I think that's it. Yeah.
I mean, that's an impressive collection right there. But like, where would you say is like your number one, like as a tourist, where would you say your number one favorite place to have traveled is?
Ah, mm. And because they've all got so much different stuff, and I sort of went for different things. Because
Of
I mean,
course.
America was unbelievable because obviously in America there is so much in the whole country, but it's a massive country. Norway is beautiful, and Romania was beautiful. What an underrated country that is! It is like the scenery is amazing. The people are so lovely, and the drink was really cheap as well, so that was always an added bonus in my eyes.
To be fair, anywhere you go, like I love Poland because prices for drinks are beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, but
And I went to Budapest, and I say I've been to Hungary. Obviously, I've only really been to one city there, but
mm,
Budapest, definitely go there for a city break. It was such a nice city, and yeah, people were lovely. Drink was cheap, and it is just so scenic. We went to these like it's Budapest is built on a bunch of thermal springs, so we went to some hot baths, and this would be in like February or something as well, so it was freezing outside. And then we went in these baths, and they were about 30 degrees, and it was so nice. And that was just it was just a great day. And then we went out on the night, and you go to all like the ruin bars, and they're funky, which I think they're all like warehouses from World War Two,
oh
which it's
wow.
like it's in like the Jewish quarters. So obviously they got evacuated, and so then they've turned all these old warehouses into bars, and they filled them with like knickknacks and fairy lights. And so you'd walk in, and there's a bicycles hanging from the ceiling. There's fairy lights everywhere. There's this massive pink kangaroo to the side holding a flower, and a teddy bear, like really random stuff, and it's just so cool. So there, definitely recommend going to Budapest.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Like, I'd like to say I've traveled as much as that, but I've never had that experience. Like, I think like the biggest move I've done is to Poland, and like it is a
Mhm.
different like cultural shock when you go from like the more countryside to like sort of more city. Well, that's such a different atmosphere, and I think that's also what America like had such a big impact in, because it's like going from like
Yeah.
smaller, more you know where the campsites were to the big sort of cities. That's such a, like a difference in like almost like
Oh,
two
good.
different
Yeah.
worlds really. Like I remember like when we were driving to anywhere, like some of the houses you see were like you see one house on its a massive field on its own, and there'd be no other houses for miles, and it's
Oh,
like,
it's ridiculous how much like land they can have and how big their houses are.
of course, yeah, I mean,
And it's also open. I don't know if you would notice it as much, because I live in the countryside, but
hmm,
there's no walls or fences unless there's like cattle or like livestock in there to actually fence in. None of their fields have fences or walls, and to me that was mind blowing, because every single field around here is walled, whether it's just arable or whether it's got livestock in it.
hmm,
And I thought it is just all open space.
it is. I mean, it's such a bizarre thing. I mean, I think I just think to like literally like the few first houses we saw, and they were just the space alone of like what they could do with their land is incredible.
Yeah.
Um, like especially like comparatively to a city, you'd never see that much like unused land in a sense for the the fields they'd have.
Hmm.
Um, that's such a different thing. I think that's why it's also worth traveling though, because you get to see that cultural stuff. Like the same like the Amish people, like you see these different like sort of lifestyles in these different sort of worlds, which is amazing to sort of have the comparison to.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, definitely.
But anyway, just to keep us moving, we'll go into our news segment. So we're just gonna take some like more positive stories that have gone on the last week or so. Just sort of chill and chat about those. So our first one we've got is in America. It's funny enough we're talking about that. There was a boy who was abandoned in a hospital, and this man Peter, who was asked to take care of him for like a weekend or so, has now is now keeping him for a lifetime.
Aw.
Um, so that's a really sort of sweet like act, and especially like with everything going on in the world right now,
Mhm.
for a single man just to essentially have been given a child just purely as a one-off thing for like a weekend just to help out, and to decide
Yeah.
like to keep someone, it's such a it's not a genuine just act, but it's like the purity to it is just beyond.
Yeah.
um
I think I did see that story actually, and I was like, oh, that's so nice.
yeah,
But
it's been popping up a bit, yeah.
do you know what it reminds me of? Have you ever seen um Big Daddy
I feel like I
with
should
Adam
have, and it's
Sandler?
going to bother me I haven't seen it.
It's like the same, not the same, but a similar thing where Adam Sandler takes on just a child which is sort of shown up on his doorstep, and then like adopts him, sort of thing. I think in the end, does he kind? Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's just what that reminded me of.
As
And
soon as you said an
it's a
Adam
funny
Sandler
film. It's
film, that
probably
clicked for me. I hate the fact the only thing I needed as a clicking point was you to say Adam Sandler, and that suddenly I was like, wait, I can see the film now in my head.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's the
like
thing.
Adam Sandler and a little Cole Sprouse as well.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not always a fan of his films, but for some reason you can start describing a film and you can say he stars in it, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, yeah, I do know it. I've seen too much Adam Sandler. Um,
I know I have. Yeah.
Oh, but anyway, yeah. So that's a nice little thing. And then we've also had in America again, um, the courts have ruled in favor that grizzly bears uh, near Yellowstone will remain protected from hunting. Which I know, again, America they do tend to do hunting, and other countries do as well. But it's really nice that like they're sort of trying to protect the more endangered animals as best they can.
Mhm.
Um,
And especially near Yellowstone as well, because obviously you go to what Yellowstone for the wildlife, and so it's
mm,
nice to know that it's definitely still going to be there.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like, I think although we never saw it, there was the one bear near the campsite as well, and
Yeah.
I think you get the wrong idea that bears are always going to be aggressively looking for people. Like the bear apparently that was near our campsite was
Mhm.
apparently a really lovely soft one. Like not like for people to go and cuddle, of course, but wasn't one that go looking its way for trouble. Really, like it would more wait till night just to go and steal from the trash, whatever bins, whatever I don't know what you call them, but
Yeah.
um, like they would be the ones that would go and like purely wait till nighttime just to avoid seeing people. And I think it's nice that
Mhm.
like especially like you say, in a near and more nature area, they're trying their best to protect these endangered animals. Um, but
Exactly. And there's no like point in hunting one. I don't think either.
no, no,
Anyway,
no, of course
so it,
not.
yeah, because I don't know of many people who eat grizzly bears, so it's nice that they're being protected.
Yeah,
I,
well, I
I,
mean,
I, I never got to go to Yellowstone. I would love to go to Yellowstone,
oh
so
yeah, it
it's
would be
nice to
lovely to visit there.
exactly.
Um, but anyways, talking sort of animals, which I feel is a weird theme I've managed to get for this news segment. Wild bisons are returning to England forests for the first time in 6,000 years.
I
Um,
saw that as well. That's
yeah,
gonna be mental. Imagine going for a nice little woodland walk and there's a bison there.
I was going to say, like, you think somewhere like the Peak District, you're used to seeing the cows or the sheep,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden we're going to see bisons. And I think it's kind of incredible, though. Like, I didn't realize, like, for how many years that bisons haven't been present, like, in the UK. Um, but there's something kind of incredible about
Yeah,
that.
because I didn't realize they were actually like used to be here. I'm sure I'm sure there's some buffaloes in Scotland, but I don't know if they're actually wild or if someone just keeps them. But but no, that would be. I don't think I'd actually want to run into a bison because I think cows are quite intimidating. I'm sure bison are slightly bigger,
Oh,
but it's nice to know.
I tried taking a selfie with a cow once when I was just walking like in the Peak District, and then all of a sudden they get very friendly very quickly, and it's like
Yeah.
they suddenly want to follow you everywhere. And you're like, oh no, you're actually if you walk into me, I'm probably smaller than you can just walk over me.
Oh, the thing they are normally, they are fairly just friendly and just curious, but they're just that bit bigger. Like I know,
Oh yeah,
like especially around here, everyone's got loads of sheep, and sheep are just, they're annoying, so annoying. They're always in the way, but they're pretty harmless. You might get a broken leg if a sheep rams you, but that's about it. Whereas if a cow runs you over, yeah, it's gonna hurt a little bit more because they're just that bit bigger.
yeah. Well, I mean, I have seen things of like I was like even when I did my DOV thing for the Scouts, like
Mhm.
I remember we got to one field and there was a bunch of cows, and as soon as someone went in, they all just like obviously more out of eagerness and curiosity would all come running
Yeah.
over. So we literally couldn't get through this one field because these cows were like, as soon as someone came near, they'd be charging over. So we had to like contact one of the scout leaders and be like, "Can you like distract this cow from the other side so we can sneak over?"
Yeah,
Um,
I know we've encountered a few cows when being out on walks, but we've had dogs with us. So we're like, I don't think they'd come for us, but they might come for the dogs. So we've done like a mile detour just to avoid walking through this field of cows
oh
and
yeah,
this
of course.
massive bull as well. I'm like,
Oh, but yeah, anyway, to think
yeah,
bisons are coming back to England though, it's pretty crazy.
it
Um,
is. It's yeah.
and then more sort of in the TV world, I don't know if you've seen the show Lucifer at all. It was an
I haven't.
American
I,
series.
I know of it, but I haven't actually. Is that Idris Elba? Is he Lucifer? No, no. Who is he? I'm
Oh no,
completely
you've
wrong.
said that's gonna bother me.
It's Luther. He's Luther.
Lucifer,
That's it.
yes. No, Lucifer
Okay. No,
was
I
on for
haven't
like
seen it. Sorry.
no. So it was on for 3 seasons in America, got cancelled, and then Netflix picks it up for season 4, and they've just dropped the season 5 trailer. So it's like one of the shows that they keep saying every season it's going to be their last, but they seemingly keep it going, which is always
Yeah.
quite interesting to see. I mean, a lot of shows now, I think I said this to someone, I was like, you tend to vary away from TV shows having a main character die off for a while, but I think a lot of shows now are lasting progressively for a more time for a longer storytelling period, which is quite interesting
Mhm.
something to see. But the show itself, I think it's got quite a solid cast, and the fact that it's been able to sort of keep fresh stories is always an interesting thing. But to go from different networks in the media world is always an interesting aspect, because sometimes you get your like reboots of shows which don't end well. Like, you know, you get a sort of Arrested Development Netflix series, which isn't necessarily the best.
Mhm.
But it's an interesting thing. And then more on the UK side, we've had the 2020 series of Dracula. I don't know if you saw it was advertised on the BBC and everything.
I
Um,
Sorry, advertised, but I haven't seen the actual series. No.
no, that's cool. But they've done like a BBC have done like their own sort of mini TV series. Same people did Sherlock.
Mhm.
Same
Oh,
creators have
nice.
done that, which is it's like that sort of same format as Sherlock, where it's like an hour or so per episode, and they only do 3 episodes, so it's like 3 essentially short films.
Mhm.
Um, but again, it's something quite exciting to see coming out. And I think they've just put on Netflix, so I sort of binged through that, and it was actually quite an interesting thing. I mean, it's written to the same standard that you'd have the Sherlock stuff, like, you know, the narrative is engaging, and like for an hour
Yeah.
long episode, you don't feel completely like disinterested. Um,
'Cause I love Sherlock, so I might look into that actually.
it is purely like if you love Sherlock, 100%, it's worth looking into, because like the writing standards is to the same point, and I mean, like for like a series, you never feel like the plot twists are too forced or too unnatural. It's completely a natural sort of feeling of progression through storytelling. And for anyone that likes the original sort of early 1930s telling of the stories, they do creatively take sort of some of the liberties of the original story while making it their own, which is quite
Mhm.
interesting to see, especially like sort of the characters' namings and like sort of the way things play out. I think I knew a little bit about going in, but it's like you expect it to play out the same. You're like, oh, they're just going to retell it, you know, word for word, and then all of a sudden they're doing something completely different, which is interesting to see.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's also the first show I learned that Dracula calls his people he's turned to vampires his brides, and that turns out that's actually something that's been in the mythology for ages.
Yeah, I did know that actually, because in Romania I went to Dracula's castle, so I read all this stuff about him.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
I'd recommend. There's another visit anyone should do. It was
There
really
you go.
interesting.
See, yeah,
Bran Castle.
this is why I was excited. I know you've done a lot of traveling, so you can like sneak in your little travel tips,
Yeah.
um, and sort of throw those out. I mean, to be fair, that would be somewhere I'd love to go to see the actual like see something like that. Would be amazing to see.
Mhm. It is like a fortress. It's like built on a hill, and to be fair,
Hmm.
it is sort of in Bran. It's not like out in the countryside. But it is a very like fortress like castle, and
I think
very
that's actually where they
gothic,
start the
and
show as
it's really
well.
cool. All right.
And they
Oh,
base it
nice.
off of like
I'll
starting from
definitely go.
there. Because now you're saying that castle, it's
Yeah.
like kind of like when you say on the cliff, like it's sort of on the hill end, isn't it? Sort of thing, like on its own in the
Yeah.
middle of nowhere. Yeah, that's why they kind of base off the beginning of the show and this massive
All right.
castle. Right, it gives that sort of very gothic vibe, which is very cool. Um, anyway, sort of to move on from our news stuff, we'll go into our film quiz. So for anyone that's listening for the first time, this film quiz essentially, I essentially watch too much TV and film, and I take some of the worst or most vague descriptions of films and TV shows I can find, and I read them out, and then you just got to tell me the name of the show.
Hmm.
I'll give you the hint that the theme for this one I went with was because I've just left the UK, I went for UK TV and films,
Okay. All right.
just to get a bit nostalgic. Um, so there's a lot of sort of like modern and older TV and shows. So we'll see what you know. I'll say now, our average, I think majority of people score is like 6 points, and then we have got one person who got 8 and one who got 9. So you could take the title. If you manage to get a perfect
Okay.
10, you take the title as the highest scorer. Um,
No pressure then.
which I feel like Heather was quite keen. She wanted to go for the high score. Um,
I I don't want to go for the high score, but whether
she
I can.
she was quite competitive. I think she also wanted to beat Plank. She was dedicated to beating Plank.
Oh, how much did Plank get?
Plank was a 6, so if you can score a 7, you can message her and you can say, "I've not got the highest score, but I've beaten you."
That's all that matters to me in life, really.
All right, so we need a solid 7 then. All right, I feel like there's some nice ones here, so I feel like you shouldn't struggle too much. Anyway,
Okay.
our first one. A retelling of the famous legend films Blank arriving in Camelot, where he hones his magic skills with the help of his uncle. I will say this is a TV series that was on the BBC at one point.
Merlin.
It is Merlin.
Oh, yes.
The story of an office that faces closure when the company decides to downsize its branches. A documentary film crew follows staff and the manager, David Brent, as they continue their daily lives.
That must be the UK version of The Office.
I was going to give you the hint of like they have an American spin-off that went on for ages. I mean, I've watched both, and I think there's just something about the English one that just it feels British, if you know what I mean. Like it's just almost just like it feels like a documentary, but it feels just like cynically British. But anyway, you're going strong here. So you got 2 out of 2 so far. All you need now is to take 5 more points, and you can be in plank easily. Anyway, budding entrepreneurs, inventors, and small businessmen and women pitch their ideas to 5. I'll say blank. I'm not going to say what their title is.
Dragon's Den.
It is Dragon's Den. I say it's 5 dragons. I could have still said dragons. I knew that'd be too much. I feel like I definitely was in a theme when I was watching some of these like longer series. Anyway, going sort of the same theme, 20 young entrepreneurs compete in several business tasks and must survive the weekly firing in order to become one of the business partners of one of the most successful businessmen.
The Apprentice.
It's The Apprentice. Oh, you're just... I thought you'd do all right, to be fair, with British ones. I thought this might be a bit much of a nice category of series. But anyway, you're going strong here with 4 out of 4. So all you need now is 3 more, and you've got 6 points. So just half your points, you've won it. Well, you've won against Plank,
right.
And that's, I feel, your target goal.
I'm going to rub it in her face so much.
Anyway, a ragtag group of Home Guard volunteers prepare for an imminent German invasion during World War II.
Dad's Army.
I didn't think you know that. That's one of my like sort of classic favorites. I mean, I've got the box set of it still. And for anyone
How
that's
can
like,
you not like Dad's Army? It's also got a brilliant theme tune, I think.
Oh, I mean, it's just the actors and everything, every part of it. I mean, it's a British series that essentially makes fun of Britain for the most part, but in like the most
it's brilliant. Yeah, it's that classic like British slapstick humour, like 70s sitcoms. I don't know if it's from the 70s, but brilliant for British 70s sitcoms.
Oh, it was fantastic. Yes, I mean, it still holds up now. Like I'm sure, like they air it regularly still as like a show they'll just put on reruns.
Oh yeah,
that finished like in the 70s, but it still goes on. But it is like not as many people I know always know the show, but I think it is like more of a sort of older fan base that sort of enjoy it, but also the people who like to watch the more classical stuff that appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I think that was sort of the pinnacle of, I think, British writing in terms of a TV series. They got everything right.
Oh, it is.
But
Brilliant.
anyway, moving on with that, you're going solid here for a 5. You need 2 points to win it, and you've got another 5 questions left. So you're going strong here.
Hopefully.
In the Middle Ages, Prince Edmund constantly schemes and endeavors to seize the crown from his father and brother. I will say this is another TV series that was an older one. I can't remember exactly which year it came out in, but it's an older one, not more of a modern one.
I feel like I should have. Don't think I've seen it, but I feel like I've definitely heard of that. But I don't think I'm going to get it.
You can throw out just a random one here. You've still got another 4 questions if you want to aim for that 7.
Prince Edmund.
It is
like Camelot. That's not Camelot or anything. Or no.
No, you not got it.
No, I'm not gonna get it.
It's a Blackadder.
Oh my god!
To be fair, his nickname even is is the Blackadder. I was like, I can't say that because you'll click on with it straight away. But he always tends to go by the name Prince Edmund. He always gets given that name. Again, a fantastic TV series.
I love Blackadder, but I always watch the Goes Forth.
Oh yes, I mean they did it for the right amount of time. Like they knew, when the formula was getting to the point it needs to end, they didn't
Hmm.
stretch it out too long. But yeah, the ending to the season 4, without dropping any spoilers, is such an emotional roller coaster. Like I think that is generally one of the things I still can't sit and watch without getting quite sad. Really.
It is. I also feel like, I mean, definitely up here, we all watched that in history. When we were
Oh,
studying World War Two,
100%.
or World War One even, we all watched that one episode in history.
They 100. Yeah, that was like such, again, for British culture. For those who haven't like been involved in that like education system, that is 100% what they'd go to. It's like if they wanted to link in something to do with like a
Yeah.
history teacher wants to use some outside clip, they'd use Blackadder just to like show off that whole atmosphere.
Yeah. Oh,
Um, but yeah,
yeah.
it's again, I think it's perfect British like cynical comedy. Really, like Dad's Army is like they both don't overheroize the main character. Instead, they just want to tell a fun story.
Yeah, and it's always nice because you could watch that with anyone because it's never. It's like it's that sort of humor where it's not they don't swear. It's not crude humor. It's just funny. It's just like
It's well
puns
written.
and yeah, it is. It's just really well written
Mm.
humor.
I mean, that's what I think a lot of shows miss out on. They miss out on the having a well written show rather than like just like how many slapstick like
Like
swear words can they drop in an episode.
exactly, just cheap jokes, but but rather than clever ones.
Like I think there's some shows that ask deeper questions, and I think I'm forever like on the bench about South Park if I love or hate it, because it's like sometimes they just use crude humor, but then it's like they do get at deeper meanings, and each episode kind of has this sort of deeper meaning. And then, but then it's sometimes they are the crude humor, Family Guy. How many jokes can they make in a
Yeah,
second?
and South Park's ruined gingers.
Oh yes, that's true. Yes, I can understand your hatred towards them there.
I know.
But anyway,
Kick a ginger day or whatever that was.
oh, anyway, moving on strong here. You still got 5 points, 4 questions
Okay,
left. You can still take your 7 points that you're after. Um,
right.
this next one, I think you'll get this straight away. You can feel free to cut me off when you know it. In
Okay.
1897, Transylvania, the blood-drinking count draws his plans against Victoria, London.
Is it Dracula?
It is Dracula. I've been watching too much of it. As I was saying, I was watching too much of it because that was clearly in my head when I was writing this one. All right, so right now you've tied with Plank, so you can't do any worse than tying. You've got 3 more chances, though, to take it away from her.
Okay.
Police officers Nicholas Angel is known to be the best across London. His seniors, who are jealous of his achievements, transfer him to a remote village where he encounters various challenges.
This is one of the best films ever.
I love the fact you knew what it was before it was even like. I was going to do the Cornell trilogy hint as like a nice little push, but the fact you knew it just from the description, I adore that film.
It's brilliant. When's your birthday? Every year. I love that. Just
When they're IDing everyone, oh, it's fantastic. I mean, and it's such like it's a good humorous film because of the editing style as well. It's like not drawn out and jokes don't feel like they last too long. It's swift into the punchline.
Yeah.
But it definitely is a fantastic film. I just got my girlfriend watching it.
Yeah.
And she's not from England, but the jokes and humor, some of it goes over her head, but I think some of like the clever writing in it shows, and it's just for a buddy cop film in terms of like the main two, I think it's fantastic. You get such parallels, but the performances you can't even question. Like it just every actor just smashes it out of the park.
It's great. I absolutely love that film so much.
Well, as much as you're loving that, you can also say you're loving the fact you have taken that score away from Plank now. So you've secured this now. Anyway, moving on here. So we're seeing now if you can join in the second place with 8 points with Joe, or if you can join Heather in first place with 9 points. Or it might be the other way around. There's one way around. I've got a feeling it might even be the other way around, but we'll move on. The curse of when a huge vegetable raving beast destroys the plot right before the giant vegetable competition, Lady Tottingham asks Wallace and his dog blank to track the beast and rescue the village. You know it already. I heard the laugh.
Yeah. As soon as you said like vegetable eating, Wallace and Gromit Curse the Were-Rabbit.
It
Brilliant.
is, yes. A fantastic film. I love stop animation. It's fantastically like when you look at like the behind the scenes stuff of like when it's all done, you know, like the whole sets and everything, they're so minute when they've actually filmed it. It's a fantastic thing to see. But Wallace and Gromit, I think again that's classic like British TV right there.
Yeah.
Like all the shorts, they still stand now. Like they're all humorous, cute little things.
Yeah, I think I've got them all on DVD. It's brilliant.
Oh, they are amazing. Like,
I used to have the board game. I loved it.
See, I've chosen this one well for you here.
This is it's my yeah.
Just purely giving some people who might not be from England some recommendations for things to watch, because these are all fantastic things that are worth watching. But anyway, we'll see if we can finish you strong here. After a sudden attack on MI5, Britain's most confident yet unintelligent spy becomes Britain's only spy.
Johnny English.
It is Johnny English. I was going to give you it's a Rowan Atkinson film.
Is that the third one?
No, that's the first one. The second one, I think it's like he messes up and he gets sent away and he gets brought back. And it turns out he messed up because the other guy set him up.
But then in the third one is when they all the identities get leaked, isn't it?
Oh yes, yes.
He comes out of retirement.
Yes, because that third one was fairly recent, I want to say.
I think it just came out last year, actually. Yeah. Yeah,
it was something like 2018. Yeah, it was fairly recent.
Yeah.
I think the first two films were early 2010, so the last one kind of came out of nowhere. But again, I mean, Rowan Atkinson as an actor, I think he is generally a British gem in terms of his acting skills.
Oh, he is. He's just his facial expression. Like you watch Mr. Bean, and he just barely speaks, and it's all in his facial expressions, and it's hilarious. I love Mr. Bean.
Oh, yes. I mean, but any role he takes, you can take the most silent role like Mr. Bean, or he can go into like Blackadder, and he still can be like the selling point of anything he's involved with.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And like Johnny English. Have you've seen the third one, haven't you?
Yeah, I've seen the third one. Yeah.
When he takes that Energizer pill and he does that whole dance to Sandstorm, unbelievable. And then the virtual reality is just so funny. And again, it's not crude humor. It's nothing. You could show that to any age group and they would all laugh.
Oh, it is. Well,
it's brilliant.
I mean, he is forever cursed, in all fairness, as like a comedy actor. But I don't think that's a bad thing saying about him, because he just, like you say, he can make anyone laugh, really. Like I've seen some of his live performances he does, and they're just just fun to watch. It's just such an easygoing thing, and he can just captivate a room on his own so easily. It's such a fantastic thing to watch. But anyway, sort of moving on from that, you have taken the highest score, I believe, with Joe, with 9 points each. So you've beaten Plank easily, and you've taken the high score. We still haven't got anyone with a perfect 10 yet.
I'm so annoyed. I should have got Blackadder. That's so annoying.
I did. Well, I mean, I thought it was a bit more vague, and I mean, I had to take out the word Blackadder, because if I said that out loud, you'd have heard that and you'd have clicked onto it straight. But like again, that series, I think I love the fact it just jumps between different time periods, and it's such a fun thing just to see the traveling.
Yeah.
But anyway, that kind of brings us towards the end of this podcast. So we'll quickly just plug our social medias. So if you want to find us, we're on Facebook at Excellent News Delivery. Instagram, we're at excellent_news_delivery. And of course, here, if you've hit subscribe, we're a weekly podcast. So we come out every Friday with a new episode. And it's always the same sort of format. We're going to keep this sort of fun, engaging, like just chatting about what people are up to. We have a different guest on every week. And we just want to say thank you so much to you, Hazel, for coming on. And congrats on taking the high score.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you guys next week. See ya.
Bye.